Racing Season 13, Division 2, round number 5 here at Le Mans in France. We have currently 9 riders with us today for Division 2. There should be more, but hopefully they've just been delayed for whatever reason. But unfortunately I wasn't able to stream the Division 2 race last week. So just in case you don't know what the rider standings are, I'll go through it. So Howling Siege ended up winning the Grand Prix last week. For the sprint went to Joe. But Howling Siege leads the championship with 48 points. Roll is 4 points behind in second, with Freddie in third, 5 points behind. Then you got a bit of a jump back. Ropey is fourth, and unfortunately Ropey is no longer racing in the championship. Hadith is fifth, Fradley is sixth, No Star is seventh, Joe is eighth, Mimon is ninth, and Mekford rounds out the top 10. Daredevil, who joined last week, got to 8th places, so not the greatest of starts considering what he was doing on the Grassini Ducati in season 12, but hopefully a return to home can start to bring him more forwards up the pack and fight for podium positions like we saw him do last season multiple occasions. So down into the second sector now. And the LCR Castrol Honda is, the LCR team is victorious, but not the Castrol side, it is the Idemitsu side for Howling Siege, who was showing great pace throughout every single race, but wasn't able to put it together, whether that be a crash or taking somebody out or a stupid mistake. He finally got it all together in Motegi, and I spoke to him last night, wondering how does he feel for Le Mans, and he didn't seem too confident. He said he was struggling a little bit with a couple of areas, but he knows the job he's got to do, and we'll see. I think his target is just to get on the podium, try and limit any damage that potentially could be done by the likes of Rolge or Freddy. But Daredevil here, he is going to be the first person across the line, assuming he doesn't invalidate or crash in the final 2 corners. Round the Recordamon. Nicely done. And up towards the line, what's the lap time going to be? 29.2. Now, I do have to admit, I have absolutely no clue on lap times here. So, I know from the previous games, 26s are very fast. So I'm guessing these guys are looking for 28s maybe. Maybe a high 28 would be enough to get pole. But don't count on it. But Mekovic, he was strong in qualifying in Silverstone. He's had a podium, but he seems to have pace. He just never puts it together in the race. He always makes a big mistake here or there. But Mekovic up to Lightfoot and the Indian 28.6. Fadley goes 4th. Now we go on to the championship leader, Howling Siege. On board Idemitsu Honda. And 3 red sectors. Howling did wildcard as well in Division 1 at Motegi and finished 4th, I believe. So Howling proving that I will not be surprised in the slightest if Howling moves up to Division 1 next season, because it's clear to see that he is very fast. He just lacks in small areas that unfortunately inflate the situation, let's say. But on pole position now for Howling Siege, half a 10th in front, and we now go with Freddie, 3rd in the championship. Freddie's one of those riders that just springs on you without you come halfway points of the season, he's not done anything spectacular, he's just been there or thereabouts, and then there you see, because he's just hitting those consistent results, he's there in the championship fight. He did that last season brilliantly, and unfortunately he's invalidated at the final corner, and that means that he'll have to go again. Mekovic, he's lost time in the 3rd sector, but let's see if he can find anything during these banked and a bit off-banked corners in the final sector. As I'll try and go with Fadley, who's just behind a Minmon, who was he's a bit inconsistent, but he's had pace here or there. Oh, and Fadley's invalidated. Mekavid does not improve. So we'll go on board with the Red Bull KTM gas of Minmon up towards the line. A big wheelie, sitting at the back, so maybe that tiny bit too early. And he jumps into 5th place. So Minmon inside the top 5. He's done that quite a few times this season. Sporting a nice red and white helmet. Number 69. Now Q Gamer, who is fair to say had a disastrous start to the season. As the Dutchman struggling with the new game is he's kept. I can tell he's kept his riding style from MotoGP 23 to 24, and you can't do that, especially with with everything really. The game's just that much different that simply not possible. Just translate, but Howling, and Q Game has lost the front or the rear there through turn 3. But without me noticing, Howling C just moved the goalpost a bit further at 28.2. So Howling, he wasn't feeling it. Maybe he's just downplaying his chances. Or playing down his chances, I should say, so if I could say it the right way around. And there are some penalties to be given out in the race, which I'll quickly just go through now. As apparently Howling's point 2 is invalid. So that now means Mecha is on pole, so I will have to do some adjustments. So Fadley's a long lap penalty, Ropey's no longer had a long lap penalty, so he no longer does, and Monster's a long lap penalty. So only 2 riders. Daredevil now coming up to the back straight. There you got that little king as you now brake just before the curb. Heading in towards the turns 9 and 10 chicane. Nicely done. Bit of a wheelie. It's got the balanced riding style from what I can tell. Or centred, I don't know what, so it's like the Lacia Spargo riding style. Maybe I can't. Where's Freddy? Is he coming up to the line now? No. I've jumped on with someone who is behind. We'll stay with him. He hasn't set a lap yet. As Daredevil improves by 0.2 per second, now remains him in 3rd place. And Freddy jumps up to 4th. And Bradley now still struggling in the newer game. He's using all the inside curb there. Where's the Monster Energy Yamaha? Going to go for the Indonesian. Jumps up to 3rd, which could be 2nd actually, if depending on what Howling's 0.5 was. So, Howling, Mekavid, Fadley is your top 3. So I quickly just check what Howling's 585. So Howling would be 3rd currently. Mecca's improving further. So Mecca currently the pole man on for a provisional pole, another improvement. He just stayed out and just kept doing lap after lap after lap after lap after lap. Let's see what his tyre situation is. You can see his tyres are a bit spent. He's using a lot of outside curb there. As Fadley runs straight on. Hopefully doesn't impede Mecca here. Not the wisest decision for Fadley. I understand trying to save time, but it's just probably not needed. Is Mecca going to pit? No, he continues. So Mecca putting a race run here. And he just seems to be doing very consistent lap times for what I understand. I can't obviously see what lap time is all the time. But he's saying RE sectors every lap, near enough. So he's got to be doing something right as Monster, who has not had the greatest of returns to MotoGP League racing, but hopefully he can find his groove. Former runner-up, all the way back in Season 2. So the guy is He's got some talent, but obviously when you don't play these games for a while, it's hard to extract it. But the Northern Irish rider, I'm sure, will slowly but surely get there as the game progresses. And even though he's going to... Oh, I hope he doesn't get respawned here because he's outbroke himself. No, he's made it back to the box. Okay. Rolled, who was... had a bit of a quiet session, but qualifying's not been his forte this season. He's been very much Bautista-like. And he's lost the front into garage there. But I'd consider him to be very much Bautista-like, and his qualifying pace has been absolutely shocking. But you put him in a race, and all of a sudden he comes back to his former self. So it's just how that will pan out as Howling goes up to the line to 28.0, but we'll have to confer with Howling Siege, Nelson and Finley, whether because they are watching, if still invalid for Howling. So Howling, he had this problem in Silverstone. He just could not put a lap together in a valid manner. He's using a lot of inside curb. He's pushing the limits of the LCR in a Mitsu Honda, as Minmon is now into the final sector. Pushing the Gas RC16 to its limits as Mekavid and Howling red sectors. Nice last sector for Minmon. He's done that a lot smoother on the exit of Recordamon up to the line, and this jumps into 4th place. Nicely done by the Brit, top Brit in the session. I mean, he's the only Brit in the session, but that's irrelevant. I mean, Monster's Monster's actually not British. He's Northern Irish, so he's from the United Kingdom, which is not British if you want to be super pedantic. As Mekavid, still not put fresh tyres on, so Mekavid is putting a right good run here. And he won't know at the moment that he is on pole position, because Howling cannot put a whole valid lap. And this is something I did warn him about it yesterday. He's got to be careful of track limits, because it's so easy, because the curbs are so thin and the line, you got to try and use all the width of the track to extract the lap time. It's so easy just to hit that green paint. As Mecca's run seems to finally be coming to an end, as Q Gamer 3.1 seconds down. When you consider he was a championship contender last season, it's just a huge fall from where we can be, and another invalid time. But Howling, can you stay within track limits, please? It's not a difficult ask, I don't think. So he brakes hard into the garage. And he touches the green, so I know he's got an addiction to touching the green or something, but he's not helping himself. You can see the forks, the Olin's forks compress for the chicane. Saving the tyres, saving the fuel, saving everything. Ready for one at last go at it. There's Monster now on the Red Bull KTM. He will get one more go, I believe, just about. But he's yet to set a lap time, and he's going to have a long lap penalty as well. So it's just not looking good, and he's ran wide into garage there. He's missed the apex completely. It's just not a good return. Well, going for Moto, I don't know if he's played any MotoGP games since MotoGP 20, but if 20 was his last one, then the weight of the bike would be so different. The way the brakes feel, the front feels, the rear, everything. Just even the track is a little bit different. So just a big difference in handling and everything for Monster so far. So he'll get there eventually, but it's just a long old road for him to travel down. As Fadley could be on for pole position here as Monster crosses the line and goes into 8th place. And Fadley, where are you? Here he goes into the final 2 corners. Keep it valid, please. As he goes up to the line. Can Fadley take pole position from Mekavid? Oh, he misses out by 4 thousandths of a second. And even though I'm the race director, I cannot change the lap times. So it is Makovid on pole, Fadley is second, Howling Siege is third, Minmon is fourth, Daredevil fifth, Freddy sixth, Rolled seventh, Monster eighth, and Q Gamer rounds out the field in ninth. So we're gonna have to restart the session anyway. Even if I don't know if there's any impeding penalties, but yeah, it's a bit frustrating. I can't change the grid anymore.
It's the French Grand Prix and all the riders are lined up on the grid. In a few moments the lights will go out and the Le Mans race will begin.
Somebody left. Am I just being stupid? No, not being. No. Just having a moment there. Oh, there we go. There's the grid. Right, let's get underway. Double check that all the settings are correct. Let's get this show on the road. And roll just DC'd, so we have to restart.
It's the French Grand Prix and all the riders are lined up on the grid. In a few moments the lights will go out and the Le Mans race will begin.
Right, so rolled. I hope it can get fixed. because he's sort of not in the lobby but is at the moment. Bit strange. Yeah, it says he's in. I do not want to be doing that. Alright, let's redo the grid again. For some reason, it's not... Roll just gonna have to leave the... I don't know if you can hear me. I'm pressing all the wrong things here. Yeah, he's left, and I'll re-invite him. Right, hopefully everything can go to plan now. Right, we're all ready, so let's hopefully get the show on the road for 14 laps of Le Mans. So just Monster, Roll, Q Gamer to ready up and we can get going. Just Monster and Q to ready up. Obviously they were at the back, so they need to make the better changes as Monster readies up. And there we go. And we can get the show on the road.
It's the French Grand Prix and all the riders are lined up on the grid. In a few moments the lights will go out and the Le Mans race will begin.
So here we go. The lights are on. It's a very strange opening few corners for Le Mans. Hopefully it doesn't go too wrong. And we are finally off. And Reykjavik gets a fantastic start into turn 1 and turn 2. Howling dropping Howling gone up to second as they all file through now and contacts being hit everywhere, warnings. But Fadley's has forced Howling off the track. And it is Monster's made up a lot of places. So it is Mekavid, Fadley, Howling, Monster, Freddy, Minmon, Daredevil, Rolge, and Q Gamer round out the field, heading in towards Museum Corner. That's very, very wide from Fadley. It's very wide from Howling. Monster's looking up the inside. of Howling Siege, but he just can't find a way through. But this is a great start for Monster. He's going to go round the outs. He's going to try and outbreak Howling, but you can't. Not many people can outbreak Howling, especially in this division. As Minmon invents a new line around Garage Vert, the green track is not the grippy stuff. Down the back straight, hard on the brakes into the chicane. The Shimano Burves, I think it's called, from my memory. And as we enter the S Bleu, and Mekovic just hitting the front, doing a bit of a Pecco, and already extending the gap to about 9 tenths of a second. And we saw in qualify. Oh, Roll just gone down. One of the championship protagonists have gone down. Big thing for Howling. He's currently third. He doesn't have to win. He can just take a solid second place if needs be. But obviously he'll want to win this race. But we saw in the qualify, Mekovic just kept doing lap after lap after lap after lap, all mid 28s roughly. Howling wasn't very happy that he didn't get pole position because he claimed that his lap was valid, which he'll show us afterwards. And Howling, beautiful move on the exit of the chicane into La Chapelle and moves into second place. So the Dutchman, the championship leader, 1.4 seconds behind Mekovic in first. What can he do? But yeah, I know he's riding with a bit of confidence. He's finally got that win. Took him a while, but he got there. First win in since season 9 on MotoGP 22, so long time coming. His exits back straight, and the gap's actually increased to half a second. So it's not all plain sailing so far. It looks like if Mecca stays out of trouble, cool, and Fadley's inventing a new line as well through the chicane. But I think if everything stays okay for Mecca and he doesn't get interfered with, unless he makes a mistake by himself, I can't see him actually losing this race unless something goes wrong in with his late race pace. But so far so good for LCR, apart from Daredevil. Daredevil is in fourth, so it's not a full LCR podium yet. And they've just been put under pressure by Freddie, so the two Frenchmen looking to try and get onto the podium at their home round. You've got Minmon, who's all over the back of Monster, trying to find a way through, and the Northern Irish rider. Both riders from the only two riders from the United Kingdom in the championship now. And Minmon nicely up the inside at the centre of La Chapelle and moves into sixth place. Monster's got the inside line, the two KTMs or RC16s, I should say, into Museum Corner, and Monster retakes the place nicely. He's had a bit of a wheelie, so Minmon's going to get the better exit down into Garage Vert, hard on the brakes, but Monster's going to try to break him, and Fadley's gone down at Garage Vert, very easy crash to do, and now that means Daredevil is into third, and it's an LCR 1-2-3. As Minmon's still trying to find a way through on Monster, but he can't get through, and Howling track limits warning at the chicane, and surprisingly he's gained about 3 tenths, so I'm guessing that's where it's come from. As Minmon sends up the inside of Monster into the first of two corners at the Blue S's, and is into fifth. As Roll just gone down, he's got a long lap penalty, and I've just remembered, that's just reminded me to give long lap penalty. So one long lap penalty needs to go to Fadley, and one long lap penalty needs to go to Monster. So there we go, long lap penalties given out, as I've just remembered, as I'm sure Nelson and Finley were probably panicking behind the scenes, thinking I'd forgot, which I had done, I will be completely honest, but thankfully the Roll to get a long lap penalty spurred my memory. And Mekovic, fastest lap of the race still. Howling's only managed to get Howling's gap 1.7 seconds, but he's got a 1.8 second gap to Freddie now, so Freddie's overtaking his fellow Frenchman and has moved into third, so LCR, that full LCR podium is no longer. And let's keep an eye on the gap between Freddie, Daredevil and Howling. But so currently at the moment the front four seem to just be stretching away from each other, which is not ideal. But Q Gamer and Fadley are now fighting for 8th place, as Fadley's just done his long lap penalty. So Q Gamer, who is struggling with a new game, hasn't got the same comfort as he did on 23, and Q-Game are also inventing a new line. A lot of people are inventing some new lines in Le Mans, and track limits is definitely going to be a problem. As we already had 3 people, well, we've got 3 people long lap penalties. 1 is rolled for, I assume, would be track limits. And everybody else, you know, we've got Howling's on 3 warnings, Minmon's on 4, Q-Game is on 3, so I'm fully expecting some long lap penalties heading towards the second half of this race. And Roll just gone down again. Roll just having an absolute nightmare. It's one of the championship contenders, 2-time champion in Division 2, and it's just not going his way. And, you know, no Star and Joe aren't here either, so there's this chance for Howling and Roll to make some, you know, open the gap even more, because for being honest, those are the 2 who are the strongest. But they're just not here for some strange reason, so they're really throwing it. I mean, No Star's championship defense is going down the sink extremely quickly, as the gap at the front's just Howling and Q-Games had a big shake on the front end there, and that will allow Fadley to move into 7th. But Q-Gamer could get the run. But, you know, Howling and Mecca, they seem to be pretty even. But from there, and Q-Gamer has a big lock up on the rear. An event to line and just gets a track limits warning. But I think between Howling and Mecca, that's going to be a race of who makes the least amount of mistakes and whose tyres will hold up the best, because you do have to run a softer rubber. As Daredevils unfortunately dropping back from Freddie, so the battle for the podium seems to be quite dry at the moment, but we can pray that it can improve. Back at the front with Mecca. You can see his somewhat, you could call him teammate at the behind there. And Rolge has gone, so big moment in the championship for Howling. He will have seen that. So his next challenger is Freddie, who's right behind him. So Freddie's 5 points behind Howling. So if it stays like this, the gap will increase to 7. So I'm sure the maths will be mathing in his brain. I'm sure it will be for Freddie as well. Freddie will be like, okay, Howling, I know he's my championship rival. I've got to just finish on the podium. Mekovic not really in a championship fight, making too many mistakes in the races. He could easily be in the championship fight, but it's just not going that way. Unfortunately, I'll see where he is in the championship. Yeah, he's down in 10th. Podium in Silverstone, and a 4th in the sprint at Barcelona, and apart from that, it's been a complete disaster. But so far, so good. 1.6 second lead, and he continues to eke that out as Fadley is now starting to close in on Monster. Where's Fadley going to make his move? And Monster's failed to comply with his long lap penalty. He's been given a 3-second time penalty in the process. Oh, and here comes Fadley. He's looking up the inside at turn 3. No, maybe in the exit turn 4 into La Chapelle. No, we can't quite do it. Whoa, and Fadley just forcing his way through there. Well, Fadley won just for barged him out the way, and he's ran wide. Well, we've got a lot of people inventing lines here as Fadley's gone to the gravel. As the gap at the front, it's just staying at 1.6. It's just Howling can't. Anytime he increases it, he decreases the gap just springboards back into 1.6 seconds. So very, very even between the front two, and I think Howling would be really angry at the fact that he wasn't on pole position and he didn't get away with Mecca at the start. As Fadley will look to try and reclose up on Monster, try and keep an eye on the gap as these guys cross the line as we reached the second half of the race, and Minmon is the first victim of Q Gamer is the first victim of long lap penalties due to track limits. Fadley's got a long lap penalty for track limits. So 3 riders already track limits penalties. Howling is 2 warnings away, and I wouldn't be surprised if his pace isn't as fast because he's just riding in a bit of conservation to make sure he doesn't exceed track limits too much in chasing Mekavid. As we look at the tyres, and the Mecca's got more wear on the left side of the rear tyre, but he's got more wear on the centre and left of the front tyre. So we know Howling's really hard and strong on the brakes, so it makes sense. But he said he was struggling with rear grip, but maybe if he's got better rear tyre, then that probably suggests that he's found a solution overnight. Let's see, Howling is really romping now, and he's closed the gap down to half a second, and Mekavid's making mistakes. Look, he's made one mistake somewhere, and now that's just dominoed into a bunch of mistakes, and Howling Siege now is on the back of his teammate, and he could be going for back-to-back victories here. Hard on the gas, up towards the line to start lap number 9. 6 laps remain in this Division 2 race. Through turn 1, into turn 2, and then we change direction for turn 3. Watch out, we saw Howley make the move on Fadley at the exit of turn 4 into turn 5, but Mecca again a really good exit heading towards La Chapelle. So no way through for Howling at the moment, as Monster and Fadley are duking it out once again, and the two really beating each other up, but Fadley's into 6th place. But Monster's going to retaliate straight away onto the grass. He's forced the pair of them really wide, and Monster's back into 6th place, but these guys are definitely going to be picking up some kind of penalties. And Fadley breaks onto the grass. He's forced to be set up by Monster, but he's going to turn underneath the KTM. Or can he? No, he can't. And Fadley forced to sit behind in 7th. No, he's not. Monster's made a really big mistake accelerating way too early, but Monster's going to outbrake him into garage there, and he forced him off. Oh, and he's gone down. That was so obvious, going to obviously end up in a crash. Howling Siege, Champion's warning, so he's 1 warning away from a long lap penalty. Freddy's only 2.9 seconds behind, so if Howling does get a long lap, chances are Freddy's going to be right with him. So the gap 7 tenths of a second. Howling Siege, fastest lap of the race. I'm guessing that's from lap 8. Lap 9 wasn't as good for the Dutchman, but he can sniff the victory. He's 5 laps away from the end of this race. Can he take his 2nd win of the season? But he's now going to be even more restricted with track limits. I'm pretty sure he'd rather take 2nd place than risk conceding 3rd place or worse. Conceding to 3rd place or worse, I should say. And yeah, the gap's already back to 1.4 seconds. So Howling, whether that's just him being conservative or making a small error, it's just not gone well here. The momentum seemed to shift, and it swung right back in the opposite direction as they now head down the back straight. All the other gaps are over 3 seconds apart from the gap to Freddy, so let's see what can Howling do. Can he force Mekavid into a mistake he did so earlier? As Freddy is now 1 warning away from a long lap penalty as well. So we're going to have both championship protagonists preying on each other's downfalls and track limits. And Mekavid, even though he's the fastest on track, only 1 warning to his name. Very, very impressive. 4 laps remain onto lap number 11 of 14. On the side of the tyre, as you now change direction for turn 3 and 4. Doesn't use the inside curb, whereas Howling's been using a lot of inside curb at turn 3 for the majority of the race. And Mecca just loves using a lot of inside curb there at La Chapelle. Clearly got a lot of confidence in the RC213V. There's a bit of a moment there over the crest heading in towards Museum. But it's only cost him a tenth or so of a second, so As he heads down towards Garage there for the 11th time, it's always wide. So the fuel's going down, the grit's decreasing. Challenge warning for Q Gamer. But I think it's definitely Mecca's to lose, but Howling's going to keep applying the pressure. As we go out to the Blue S's, and Mekovid will start the third to last lap of this race, and he makes another mistake through Recordamon, but the gap is actually increased even with those mistakes. So he's got the late race pace. Howling, is he just conceding second and going, you know what, second place is good enough for me? He's had moments where he's chased the win and it's gone wrong. So is that just those lessons learned from the earlier rounds, just going, yeah, I'm in a good position, I'm in a good place in the championship, let's take second? Because Freddie's 3 seconds behind, so even if he gets a long lap penalty now, in theory he should still take second place. As Fadley's gone down again, and Q Gamer's also gone down now, so we'll see where Monster is in all this. But yeah, these guys are unfortunately not close enough to make any form of attack on anybody. As we go on to the brakes for the Shimano Berth S. And Howling's picked up a long lap penalty. Such fine margins. Just run right on top of the inside curb, and that's enough. So, what does he take his long lap, or does he just go to the end and go, you know what, he can control the gap? We just see what his decision is. I think I know what I'd do, but I'm not going to say I'm going to let Howling, if he is listening, and make his own mind up. And the gas has gone to 1.1, so now Howling, he's no longer restricted really, he can just push as hard as he wants. So, for Mecca, this changes things. Now he's got long laps, so Mecca can now definitely relax. As we're on the penultimate lap of this race, going through turn number 6 as they head towards the museum corner. This race is all but one for Mecca, but I've said this so many times this season. It seems like somebody's got the race win in the palm of their hands, and it's just thrown out the window before I can even realise it. So Howling brakes, and he's going to do the long lap loop. And he's done it very safely. It doesn't say he's completed it on our screen, but he definitely has there. 3.4 seconds off now. He's 2.3 seconds ahead of Freddie. And that is for sure second place for Howling Siege. Assuming he doesn't make any big mistakes. He'll be annoyed, but I think when he looks at the bigger picture, he'll be happy. As Mekovid now rounds Recordamon for the penultimate time, and a lot of reinvention of lines here and circuit layouts, I have to say. As Mekovid now starts the final lap of this race, really impressive. He's only had one trial limits warning, the least of anybody in the field, and he's been at the front the entire time. Really did a really good job in qualifying, took pole position, just kept doing lap after lap after lap after lap. Really consistent lap times. Got the retake in the fastest lap of the race off Howling Siege. A new line there for La Chapelle in the final lap, so maybe that's just an adaptation to how he needs to ride down this final lap, just to conserve and consolidate this win here. He's yet to take victory in VollGazz. He's just several corners away from victory. He's had pressure from Howling, especially in the mid part of the race when the gap shrunk by a second, but he kept his nerve, he kept calm, re-extended that gap back up, and he is just 5 corners away from home. Or 6, depending on how much you count the corners. As Freddie's picked up a long lap penalty on the last lap, he's not going to... Oh, Minmon's gone down at garage there, but I think he's going to be okay. He's going to hold on to that top 5 place. As Mecca around the S Bleu, heading towards the penultimate corner of Recordamon, which is the final 2 corners anyway, through turn 13, into the final corner of 14, and Mekovid is going to win for the first time in VollGazz, as Howling picked a long lap, track limits warning on the final lap, but he takes second place. Freddie takes third. Daredevil at home will finish in fourth. Minmon, despite his last lap crash, will finish in 5th place. Fadley will finish in 6th. What could have been a really bad round for Yamaha. Q Gamer will finish in 7th, and Monster will round out the field in 8th. So Mecha takes the win, Howling 2nd, Freddy 3rd, Daredevil 4th, Minimum 5th, Fadley 6th, Q Gamer 7th, and Monster rounds out the field in 8th place. And then, excuse me, we'll wait for the park filming interviews. Not sure Freddie will join, so we'll go straight on with Howling first, and then if Freddie joins, we can interview him after. So, Howling, pole position was yours, but unfortunately your lap got taken away, and you had a difficult race, but one that could potentially be very important in the championship coming into the season. How did you find the race at Le Mans today?
Oh, it was so difficult, the race. In the qualifying, you know, I can understand afterwards, like, why my lap got taken away, so no hard feelings to RD there. Then at the start, I got in contact with Freddy that just, I don't know what he did. I think the start in the back was a bit chaotic. So I was like, okay, I already had a lot of adrenaline, I was shaking. Didn't really know how to calm myself down. And suddenly I saw the gap decrease at Mekovid, and I was like, okay, let's try to stay there, not take unnecessary risk. And yeah, what do you know? At the second chicane, I get the final warning for a long lap. I was like, okay, immediately gonna surf it. Other than that, I'm just happy that the track is done. Not particularly good for my riding style with these long corners. But I enjoyed the race. It was a good training for me, and just hope that next race I can really compete for the top step of the podium again.
Yeah, and just one more question. What was going through your mind when you had 4 warnings, as well as when you saw Rold leave the session as well?
I don't know why Rold was leaving the session, to be honest. Well, I only was looking at Mekovid at that point, and I just saw like, okay, I'm closing down, but I knew like if Mekovid was gonna make a few mistakes, I will be on his ass, and which happened, and I was like, okay, should I engage or not? And I was like, let's just try to keep it calm, let's try to stay behind him, don't get the warning that cost him to a long lap, which sadly did. So I just tried to consolidate for the championship, to be fair. But maybe if I had less warnings, I would have given my all just to outbreak Mekovid. But after that, I was like, okay, not taking any more risk. Let's just bring this one home.
Yeah, so well done on second place, championship lead extended.
Thank you.
And that is it for today. We'll be back with Division 1 in over an hour's time, and then see you then. Goodbye.